All right, everybody, welcome.
Here we are.
To the Why Not Us podcast.
Yeehaw.
My name's Carter Kramer, Mr. Mike McGowan in the house.
Sir,
You look good, man. You've been in the gym. You're kind of jacked right now.
is that right?
Yeah.
Well, look at me.
I like it. All right, let's have some fun, man.
Yeah,
Kind of getting towards the end of the day here. It's been a busy day.
it has.
Had some good lunch today, but man, it's sitting a little heavy.
Well,
Those
dude.
big greasy burgers. God, it was fantastic.
Harvey Weinberger in Phoenix, if you're.
It was excellent. The burger was excellent.
Yes.
And but man, let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's going to be weird later.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some woke policies
Yeah,
and how
let's
it's
do it.
affected, some people getting butthurt about some stuff.
I think, so good.
Yes, well, let's just dive right in.
So do it. No.
I love it. By the way, your shirt's going to be, we'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
That's so perfect for this discussion. Okay.
So, it's been bugging me for a while.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Or it's just, I think it's kind of crazy that sports teams have been forced to change their names. Let's just throw
Right.
it out there.
Mhm.
Like very, very just even keel. Just like, I think it's silly.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think 90% of the population thinks it's silly,
Yeah.
but you've
Yeah.
got some folks that scream louder than others. Right.
Squeaky wheel gets greased.
And a lot of this happened. We had Kevin on, remember?
Yes.
And a lot of this happened after George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the statues coming down, which we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
right? Like a lot of the policies, and then we had to fund the police, we had all this stuff. But
Yeah,
2020 is also seems to be the year when a lot of this craze around changing names
Right.
really, got propelled forward.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the George Floyd incident or not or whatever, but that's the time, because you've always heard about it, right?
Right.
Like, and the Redskins was the big one, the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
And there was always like this kind of undercurrent, this little, this called a not a very loud voice,
Right.
right? To say, hey, you should probably change your name. Redskins is offensive. Yeah, right. But in
Right.
2020, just or just slightly before that, it all came to a head.
Right.
Right.
I would agree. Yeah.
And so they changed their name to the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Which,
and they sold the team, right? Didn't the
well,
team just sell?
Snyder had to sell. Well, that was after, right?
After, yeah.
Snyder had to sell. I mean, he's
Yeah.
just a jackass owner, and he always
Right.
was,
Right.
right?
Yep.
But like, the Commander is a terrible name. First of all,
I would agree.
It's a horrible name.
Yeah.
But after the 2021 season, the Cleveland Indians changed to the Cleveland Guardians. Another terrible name.
Another terrible name.
Do you know what the Guardian signifies? And I only know this because of my friend Spencer,
What?
because he
Tell
grew
me.
up in Cleveland.
Okay.
There's a famous bridge. I don't know the name of the bridge, but there's a famous bridge in Cleveland. I believe it goes across the Ohio, maybe, right?
Okay.
And it has these on each end. It has these statues, right? These large stone statues,
Mhm.
and they call them the Guardians.
Hmm.
So it's the Cleveland Guardians. It's so bad.
Wow.
It's so bad.
But dude, where does this stop? Because you've got things like, you've got the Florida State Seminoles. You've got the names go on. And here's my thing, man. The part I don't understand about some of this is, to me, isn't that like a way to preserve or sort of draw isn't that sort of like a show of respect? Like if I was like, hey man, I'm going to start I bought this professional sports team and I'm going to call them the McGowans.
Mhm.
Would you be like, man, that's really
That's
offensive
awesome.
to me?
That's awesome.
Yes, right. It's
Right?
like you're like, I don't know. Aren't you sort of like, just you're
If there was a professional baseball team and it was called the Handsoms, I would take great pleasure in that.
You're such an idiot. I mean, honest to God, you see what I'm saying, right? Isn't that a valid point? I mean, do you think that anyone was like, hey, let's call them the Washington Redskins to be offensive?
Well,
Do you think that was the thought process?
Did anybody do any research in Cleveland? The Indians were called the Indians because when they renamed it from whatever it was,
they had a Native American player,
they had a
right?
Native American who's a star on the team at the time. It was
Right.
in 1906 or whatever the hell it was.
Right.
But they had a Native American who was a star on the team. They called it the Indians.
Yes.
But it was offensive, right?
Right.
I'm not sure how Indians is the name itself is offensive. But remember, they also had what I believe was the best logo in all of professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
The Chief Wahoo logo.
Yep.
Man, that was a great logo. It was just really, really cool. right?
Yeah.
But it was had a red face, so it must be offensive. And
again, man, I want to be sensitive to all of that, but I just, to me, it's a stretch.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that naming a team the Redskins or the Indians is maybe the penultimate way to, honor a legacy of Native Americans.
Yeah.
But it's also not derogatory as well. I don't think.
I mean, dude, at some point, is it going to be like, well, we can't have the Carolina Panthers because Panthers are an endangered species and they could be offended.
Right. Well,
that's a bad example.
So it is.
But you know what I mean, dude? It's like, where does it stop?
Yeah. We can't name it the Miami Heat because we live in the cold.
Right.
Right. Fuck is that, dude? Right.
I get it.
So
yeah.
So there's a bunch of them.
Strange,
there were
man.
the Edmonton Eskimos. It was like a AAA hockey team.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. They had to change their name.
Yeah.
Eskimo is somehow offensive.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though when I grew up, Eskimos, they lived in igloos, and this could be totally offensive to somebody, but I don't see it that way at all. Right. I don't get it. Anyway, so the Braves too have received pressure.
Yeah.
To change their name, but they've resisted, right? Because they believe, you're a brave, you're a warrior, right?
Right.
And
how is brave? I mean, again, how does that? I mean,
well, it's a
stretch.
I know.
It's somebody. Dude, this doesn't.
They got the tomahawk. Right?
I know, but dude, doesn't this remind you of us talking about like the middle school band concert?
Yeah.
It's like the people that I feel like are up in arms about this situation. It's about them.
It's not
about
the
people that should or would potentially even be offended by some of these things. It's somebody that's not even related or doesn't even understand anything about that culture that's probably raising their hand going, this is really offensive. Somebody's feelings could get hurt.
I know, right? God. So it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Think about you're a little too young. Well, not really, but
what?
Remember the
Thanks, Mike.
Remember the '83 Redskins?
No, because I was born in 1981. But go ahead.
Thank you. You're too young, right? I remember the '83 Redskins.
Okay.
And it was so called the early '80s Redskins.
Yeah.
With Theismann and Riggins. Right?
Yeah.
And they had what was their front line called? What was the term? The nickname for the offensive line? They were the Hogs. Do you remember seeing pictures of people with the mask and the pig nose?
Yep.
They were called the Hogs. They were big, massive, just big dudes, and they blew everybody off the line. Yep. They were named the Hogs. You couldn't do that today. God, you could never mind Redskins. You're going to call a bunch of people Hogs? Oh my
that's
God.
right. That's right.
Oh my God. Vanity Fair would crucify you.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And it's gotten into other stuff too, right? I mean, this has gone beyond just sports teams. I mean, it's gotten into movies. It's gotten into. I mean, it's just crazy. Do you
infiltrated everywhere.
Think about now, man. A lot of these media outlets, and we saw it with, what's the movie that the Baca people talked about with?
Oh God.
I know.
I've seen it.
The Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think so, yeah.
And nobody would pick up that movie because
5
it's
years.
a sensitive topic.
Well, it's a sensitive topic and great timing on that reference because that Epstein list just got released.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Half the stuff is pretty
We knew it already.
Known. Yeah.
We knew Clinton was there. We knew Clinton likes young girls.
Did you see
he likes Monica.
Did you see his island sold?
Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
Oh, you did? Yeah. But for like half the price.
Yeah, it was listed for $127 million and it sold for $60 million.
Who wants to buy that place?
Oh
seriously?
My goodness. Dude, you want to fucking get haunted?
Yeah.
Go hang out there for a little while.
Oh, anyway, but we knew it was on that list. We knew Al Gore was on that list.
Yeah.
We knew Michael Jackson was on that list. We knew the Clintons were on that list.
What was the one you said? You said somebody. What was Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis was on there.
Yeah.
That's probably why he has dementia now, so he doesn't have to answer questions. That's terrible. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. That's not good. Anyway, so yeah, him and Biden are on the same medication. But
hey, I just read a study that said that oral health has now been linked to dementia.
Dude, oral health is linked to everything.
It's really true. I don't know if it's really true, but I read that.
I had a guy in my graduate school class. It was Mark Steffen. He's a doc, right? And he said everything. He said, eat your vegetables and brush your teeth.
Yeah.
That's all he said. He goes, that's the best thing you could ever do for your life is eat your vegetables and brush your teeth.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
And if you look at animals like pets, like dogs especially, when something goes wrong with their teeth, with their mouth, it just seems like they go downhill from there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know what's interesting about the whole
We're way off track.
Way off. So this Washington Redskins to Washington Commanders, right? So there's a Native American Guardians Association this summer that they're suing the group for 1.6 million. They're suing the organization for 1.6, and they generated 150,000 signatures, right, to change the name back to Redskins.
Yeah.
And they also said Commanders is a fitting name for oppressors. And you think about that for a minute, and you go, huh, that makes a lot of sense.
That's what I mean, man. Can't you make this argument on anything?
Anything.
Yes.
Good Lord.
It's like, just what? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And the commander said the complaint is without merit. And I mean, I'm wearing this shirt today, right? Like I wore this on purpose because of this topic. Right.
You would.
But this is Papago,
why don't
right?
you?
This is the Papago golf course. It's a Muni golf course here in Phoenix. Arizona State plays there. Right. And they're proud to sell this. They're proud to have this logo as part of that area. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why? I mean, why change that? You know, if people are proud of it, and the people that come from there are proud because you know there wasn't a Native American group that was lobbying the Washington organization to do it. It was white liberal elites in DC who were lobbying the group to do that. And they have more money than everybody else. So guess, oh God, you can't do that to people. You can't call them that.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's a show of respect and a show of appreciation. Yeah. Right. I mean, again, if I named a team after you, a professional sports team, and had created a logo, isn't that kind of what that is?
Well, and here's a quote that from the Native American Guardians Association, who is suing, the Washington Commanders. They're also suing the complaint also names the powerful, very, very, very key word there, the powerful National Congress of American Indians for its role in erasing from public discussion the image and history of real Native Americans. The name Redskins carries a deep cultural, historical, and emotional significance, honoring the bravery, resilience, and warrior spirit associated with Native American culture.
Sounds super offensive.
Right? Off the charts offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got look at these other teams. You've got the Blackhawks, Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah. There's a push around the Kansas City Chiefs. Did you see recently? I don't know. I'm going to say a month and a half ago. Okay. Maybe 6-8 weeks ago. A kid, I'm saying a 11-year-old kid. Okay. Right. White kid goes to a Kansas City Chiefs game. Right. Mm-hmm. And what are the colors of the Chiefs? It's red, yellow, white, and black. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, and so the kid dressed up with a big headdress and had one half of his face was red, the other half was black. And social media went crazy. There were, black influencers getting all over that kid and killing the Kansas City Chiefs because the kid had half a black face on. What? I mean, what the hell, man? Right. What are we doing? It's ridiculous. If people are going to be offended by something, be offended by like the fucking WNBA or something that really sucks. You know what I mean? Correct. Sorry, but I mean, really, right? So it sucks, dude, because it's again, I mean, when are we going to, first of all, suck it up? Yeah. Put your time and energy and effort into something that's positive. Be productive. Be productive. Right. Like, I feel like people making a living out of bitching and complaining and whining is like what our society is becoming. I think it's what it's become. And why isn't it a situation where, I mean, we've lost our gratitude? Yeah. We've lost, this idea that we are this powerful country and there's all this opportunity there. No, we've become apologists. Yeah. We're sorry. We're sorry. We did all these things 300 years ago. So it influences very much today how we act and react. Absolutely. People got to suck it up, man. Yeah, right. Suck it up. So Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors, another one. They changed they changed the logo like in 1969. They changed the logo to the bridge, the Bay Bridge, instead of it was an Indian. right? It was an Indian, I think, with a weapon, whether it was a bow or a spear. I'm not sure which one it was, but it had so that it was the Golden State Warriors. Well, it moved from somewhere to California and it became the Golden State Warriors. Then in '69 they changed it to the bridge, right? And again, Edmonton Eskimos, I mentioned that. They changed their name to the Edmonton Elks in 2021. I'm offended. I love elks. And I don't want some sports team being named after my favorite animal.
I'll tell you this, dude. What about aren't you like Norwegian or something?
Me? I'm Irish.
No, are you?
Yeah.
Well, did you say you were some other or something?
I'm Irish.
Oh, I thought the back hair had something to do with like you. Oh, I mean, that does, but I thought there was some other.
No, it's just I'm a furry person.
I was just. I mean, my point was gonna be like, what is it like the Vikings? Are we gonna have like some people from?
Oh God, can you imagine?
You know what I mean? I mean, again, where does it stop?
You know what? You know what's interesting though? You mentioned the Seminoles before, Florida State.
Right? Yeah. That's obviously legitimate. Yeah.
Right, and I mean, it's a Seminole name. Like that's a tribe, right? Like
absolutely.
So don't they have in the beginning of the game the guy the guy
rides out on the horse with the big huge
the flaming spear with the flaming spear? He drops it in the middle, and it's awesome. Whoa, dude! And people get riled up. Yeah, and
let's fucking go.
Yeah, and it's a celebration of that cultural history.
Yeah. But, I mean that's kind of my thing, man. And I've talked about this with other parts of history and history books and history teachings. And, at what point do people not understand that like by getting rid of or by removing these things, like they are changing and rewriting the history books?
Well, they're trying to.
That's what I mean. It's
erase
like,
it. Cancel
it's like,
it.
do you want to get rid of the historical, significance of Native Americans and the fact that they were here in this country before? You know what I mean? I mean, eventually, if you get rid of all these teams and all these team names and these tribe names and all these other things, do we just at some point just
doesn't exist anymore?
Right? They're erased.
It's just like how they're erasing. You can't say that anymore. You can't say this word.
Right? It's canceling. They're canceling freaking.
They're erasing it. What do we talked about this before?
I just don't get it, man.
When you eliminate language, you eliminate people's ability to express themselves. And what's happening?
Yeah.
And once they can take away free speech, guess what's next?
Yeah.
Guns. Guess what's
everything.
next?
The rights continue to get infringed upon. Right.
So it's really interesting. The Seminoles, they have a really deep relationship with the Seminole tribe. And the tribe spokesman in 2021 said the tribe views the relationship as a multi-dimensional collaboration that provides meaningful educational opportunities and other positive outcomes. So he's saying that the guy who's a part of that Seminole tribe, right, who's descended from Native American, who is Native American, right, he's saying that it provides a multi-dimensional collaboration, and it provides history and teachings and learnings.
Yeah, I think there's historical connections to that stuff.
But there's still a white Congress lady from northern Michigan who wants to remove the name Seminoles because she believes it offends some people. Get the fuck.
Yeah,
it's insane. Here in a good point. So here in Arizona, you lived here from 2002 to what?
Like 07, I moved back up to Iowa. Yeah,
so 5 years you were here. Jimmy's lived here his whole life. I've been here since 2010. Right? If you go up Lincoln, up north of here, there was what was it? Squaw Peak.
Yeah.
Squaw Peak, right?
Piestewa Peak now, right?
Well, no, yeah. So there was the Squaw Valley.
Is that why they changed it?
Yes.
Because the Squaw Peak was offensive.
Well, squaw so it's I looked this up.
Yeah,
it's an Algonquin term, right? Algonquins are in my neck of the woods from the Northeast,
right?
That was a larger tribe there.
Yeah,
right. So it's an Algonquin word for woman, but over time it became like a derogatory term of a female, right? Of a female Native American.
Yeah.
Right? So squaw became a bad word, right?
Yeah.
Basically over time. And it's probably because stupid people like us used it in that way.
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
Right? So they changed it to Piestewa Peak, or I can't even.
Piestewa, yeah.
Yeah. Piestewa, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think it is Piestewa Peak, yeah.
Right? But and so originally, before I did the research for this podcast, I always hated it. I'm like, they just changed it because of political correctness and blah, 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 blah. And I know that squaw only just means woman, but yeah, some people probably used it incorrectly.
Sure, yeah.
Yada, yada, right? It's actually pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool what Arizona did. Say it again, Piestewa?
Piestewa, yeah.
So it's named after Lori Piestewa, right?
Okay.
Who was...
Piestewa is still a Native American name, is it not?
Well, it's her name, yeah. She's a Native American, right? Okay. And she was the first female Native American to die in combat. for the
Very
for the
cool.
United States.
Yeah.
So that's pretty freaking cool. So what you did is you said, I'm taking something, right?
Yeah.
That may have some derogatory, vibe, whatever,
Yep.
right? I'm changing it, but I'm not losing the spirit of it because it's after a Native American woman and a woman who died in combat for the United States of America.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe not the decision to change it, but the way they changed it and what they changed it to, I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm they rename a lot of these military bases. Like I can look it up.
Yeah,
But it's not Fort Bragg anymore because God forbid, because Bragg was associated with some kind of something back in the day. So
was that like something to do with Confederacy or something? I can't remember.
So, yeah. Look, Fort Bragg name changed, right? Now it's Fort Liberty, right? Dude, if you were in JSOC, if you knew anything about special operations, you were in Bragg at some point. You were doing something there.
Right.
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 So it just kills me. And there's a lot of that going on too. There is a ton of people, or excuse me, of military bases that are being renamed in the sake of this, I don't know, woke policy, this political correctness, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of people out there that say that the military has gone, under the Biden administration, has gone way too far in promoting pronouns over tactical readiness, over physical fitness, over the standards by which the United States military is supposed to be held to.
Right.
Now you've got this inspector general who's a man but's a woman and all. What the I don't even know, dude.
Listen, let's take a break.
All right. Yeah.
I feel like we're getting on that time. I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet here. So yeah, let's do a quick break. I think this is a very interesting topic. I have a couple things I want to talk to you about here in the quick break, and then we'll dive back into it.
All right. Sound good? Yeah.
All right.
I'm in.
Why Not Us Pod. Check us out. whynotUspod.org is our website, or all caps Spotify, Why Not Us, and you will find us there, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
All right. We're back after the break. Welcome back.
Yep.
Why Not Us?
Why Not Us?
Okay, so here's a quick list for you. We're talking about woke
Name
policies
changes? Yep.
that have created this desire to change names of teams and other things because people's feelings are hurt, supposedly.
Yeah.
So here's a few that we didn't talk about. San Diego State University Aztecs.
Oh, gosh.
Offensive?
It has to be, right?
How about Illinois Fighting Illini? Illinois is an actual
Yeah. No,
Native American term.
That should be offensive.
Cleveland Indians.
Well,
We talked about that one. How about the University of Utah Utes?
You can't be a Ute, can you?
Can't be Utes.
God, that's
We talked
that's
about
terrible.
Florida State.
Wait, Ute, is that like, you remember my cousin Vinny? The
Yes.
Utes? The Utes?
Okay. Okay. How about this one? William and Mary Tribe.
Oh, God, get rid of it. Get rid of that whole place.
Alcorn State Braves. That's another one like the
it's
Atlanta
terrible,
Braves.
yeah.
St. John's Red Storm. I forgot about that one. St. John's is the Red Storm.
Is there such a thing as a red storm?
I think it's related to Native American, like
okay,
a push of right.
Okay,
I think that's really
it's got to
what it was
go.
intended
It's
to-
got
it
to
has
go.
to
The whole
So,
thing's got to go.
You talked about the word Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, we talked about they've resisted.
How about Central Michigan Chippewas?
Ooh, you got to get rid. You can't do that.
I mean, some of these are crazy, right? Like I get it, but again, man, I hope that people understand that by pushing these things and going through these process, that they're taking a chance of actually being counterproductive,
Correct.
and taking away some level of recognition for some of these groups and some of these folks that I just think it's kind of.
Do you
disappointing.
think anybody with that ideology who believes that fiercely that the Indians was a terrible slur? Right? Do you think they, for 1 second, have the self-reflection that they can say, "Am I being counterproductive?"
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me want to like start a sports team and call them like the rapists or something. I mean, it's just like if you really want to get offensive, let's get it out there. The abusers. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No hope for sponsors
Jimmy
on this
might
episode.
have to cut that out. I don't know. I was offended by that myself.
Oh my God. No hope for sponsors in this episode.
No.
Jesus.
I'm crying. That was really bad. I wasn't prepared.
God, you are a train wreck. So, but what about brands doing it too? Right?
I'm sorry. I'm crying.
It's terrible. Jesus. Oh God.
Okay, I'm good. Well, I need some Kodiak.
Oh
Okay.
God. Anyway, so
I can't look at you.
I
Right now.
can't
Okay, go ahead.
We might have to cut this out.
That's all right.
So anyway, so
Yeah.
Jeep is considering changing the popular Jeep Grand Cherokee to another name.
Yeah, of course they are.
Well,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? I mean, God forbid.
Cherokee's such an offensive name.
Disney has pulled 3 movies recently:
I heard something about this.
Dumbo, Peter Pan, and Aristocats. And the reason behind it on 2 of the 3, and I don't quote me on which ones the 2 of the 3 were, but because there was some racial imagery.
Wow, I thought something had to do with like some kind of homosexual tone and something. I don't know.
Maybe. Mutual of Omaha, one of the oldest companies, one of the oldest insurance companies in the world.
Because it's a Native American.
It's the
logo's
talking about their logo.
Yeah,
they're not going to change their name.
It's like the head, like a chief, Indian chief head or something.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm offended by Omaha because Peyton Manning said it all the time, and Peyton Manning sucked. And his little brother Eli is going to get into the Hall of Fame and should never, because he's the most mediocre quarterback that's ever lived. Anyway, the Dixie Chicks changed their name to the Chicks.
What's offensive about Dixie? Because it's in the South?
It's in the South.
So is that like a racial thing?
Well, no,
like
Dixie was, it's Confederacy, has some ties.
Really?
No. So a key word in all of this is ties, right? Because they had ties to this. So after the George Floyd stuff, right? They were tearing down statues left and right.
Yes.
I got some figures here. 157 statues were removed or destroyed after the George Floyd riots, after the George Floyd incident in 2020.
Okay.
73 more in 2021, right? There's supposedly 700 plus that are still remaining. Wow. And they're historical monuments, and a lot of them are for like, General Lee, right? Or Stonewall Jackson, or some Confederate generals. And so I understand that, people may be upset about that, but it's history, and you can't erase history. You're going to rip those books out of the history book and teach it? You're going to rip those pages out, right?
I feel like that's what they're trying to do, right?
And there's been a push recently to remove statues of the founding fathers, Union generals, and soldiers in New York City.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me ask you this, man. We brought this up before in previous pods, but how do you avoid repeating history and making the same mistakes that have been made in the past when you don't teach it? You
forget it.
That's what I mean.
And you're doomed to repeat it.
Block this out of teachings in history. Yeah. Aren't we just increasing the opportunity to repeat history in a negative way?
Well, don't you think that's what the elites want? Don't you think that's what the deep state wants?
I do, but I think some of these people...
They want slavery again, they want control again, and they want slavery over all of us.
I think some of these people crying and whining about it, dude, don't even understand what they're arguing for.
So
I really don't.
New York City has talked about taking down statues of Washington, Columbus, and Jefferson over links to slavery, and creating a reparations task force. That city has cut funding for every public service known to man.
Yeah.
They're housing hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants, right? But the real issue at hand is whether we should take down a statue of Thomas Jefferson, one of the founders of our country, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a tie, or there was a link to slavery. You're going to take down statues of George Washington, right? Like the first commander in chief, the general of the Continental Army, who founded the nation. He's on Mount Rushmore. It's always Jefferson, right? Mm-hmm, so they've got to remove that. So are we going to dynamite Mount Rushmore?
Who knows?
Should we just dynamite it?
Yeah, I mean,
you remember Jalen? You know who Jalen Rose is?
Yeah.
So he was a player for Michigan. He
He's part of the Fab Five. Yeah,
part of Fab, and then did some time in the NBA. Now he's an analyst on ESPN.
Yeah, yep.
It was like 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. Like, he went nuts. You couldn't say that Shaq, Kobe, Kareem, and Magic were the Mount Rushmore of Laker players, because Mount Rushmore is somehow offensive because Jefferson and Washington had links to slavery. How ridiculous is that?
It's digging, man.
Jalen Rose is a moron to begin with, but right. You know what? Let's dynamite Jefferson, right, off of Mount Rushmore, and let's put the felon drug addict George Floyd up there in his place.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Yeah, idolize that.
It's ridiculous. Going back to the brands.
Yeah. I found some good ones because I dug into high school names. Okay, so I got some better ones for you, Keddy. I think some of these are great. These are also worldwide. Okay. So there's I'm just gonna read a few of them. Okay. let's see. How about the Rhode Island School of Design NADS?
The Nads?
Yeah, the NADS.
The RISD Nads?
Yes. There's the Freeburg Midgets, which are in Freeburg, Illinois. How about
I'm all for that.
Okay. How about in London, Ontario, there's a baseball team called the London Rippers.
Okay.
Kind of like that one.
What was that? Ripping what?
I use your imagination.
Ripping lines?
I don't know. Ripping and a tearing. All right. We've got the Frisco Coons.
Ooh, that's got to change. I mean, you can't have a raccoon as a mascot.
We also have the Pekin Chinks. And my personal favorite, the Robstown Cotton Pickers.
Oh my God.
These still exist.
Well,
and it's
there's
funny
some
because
historical significance to it, right?
Well, this is what the Robstown Cotton Pickers is a high school in Texas, and they're like, Texas produces the most cotton of any place in the United States. That's a viable part of our state. Like, it's not meant to be.
We're proud.
It's not talking about who's
or who.
The intention is not to. And again, I understand. Some of these to me probably could use a
yeah,
discussion.
I agree.
But I mean, it's interesting too when you look at this stuff in other parts of the world. There's a South African pro soccer team. I don't think it's around anymore, but it was called the Dangerous Darkies. Like, again, when these things came about, there wasn't this immediate jump to, oh my gosh,
yeah,
how dare you?
I'm offended.
Yeah. It was just, they were just fucking names of teams, dude.
Yeah.
It was people trying to figure out a mascot and a logo and something that rolled off your tongue because they're trying to sell product.
And the owner was trying to think of it in the dark, and he's like, "Oh, it's dangerous in the dark. The Dangerous Darkies."
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, right? But yeah, there's things like the cannibals and how many of these things could you throw out and go, this is
you could say every single one of them.
You absolutely can. And some of them are
the Boston
pretty weird,
the Boston Red Sox is a horrible. I mean, it's a horrible offensive name. I only wear white socks, and the only way my socks get red is if I wash my white socks with a red shirt.
Yeah, then it'd be pink socks.
Well, whatever. That's how stupid it is.
I know. That's just crazy, man. And again, it just goes to this level of sensitivity, and look. I think that if you see a huge push, like let's say that a team is not selling, gear, or there's an issue, right? You're touching enough people, but when it's the one person, dude, that's what I think you and I are. There's so many of these cases now where the one person raises their hand and says, "I'm offended."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God, we should have to accommodate that one person, or it's this tiny percentage of people. And again, man, why can't we use our energy for something productive?
Right. You know what would be productive, right? If we want to help that person, be less sensitive.
Yeah.
Right. And we want to help that person truly understand what it feels like to be ridiculed or made fun of.
Yeah.
When that person, if we want to be productive, when that person raises their hand, we be productive when we cut the arm off of that person.
Whoa, that was aggressive. I thought you were gonna say like,
no, just go away.
Wow,
just go away.
Well,
you're not doing anything for anybody but yourself.
Here's my thing, dude. Is there any attempt being made to like educate some of these people on why the names are the names, where they came from? Like you talked about, right? Like the history of the Cleveland Indians. Like there's historical, viability to some of these names and where they came from. Does anybody take the time to be like, well, here's why it is what it is? Or did these just go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that we hurt your feelings? You know what I mean, Mike? Like that's, I don't know.
There's more of the brands. There's still more brand stuff. And there's one I want to get into.
Okay.
So Aunt Jemima changed to Pearl Milling Company.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I remember that whole thing. Yeah.
That was a big deal, right? And that kind of kicked off the whole brand thing.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. But there was people who were heard about that too, because there was significance to the Aunt Jemima, right? So anyway, keep going.
So there's one more. There's one more that's really Mrs. Buttersworth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So some have accused Buttersworth as being a racist brand, right? Mm-hmm. Because the curvy bottle shape is a racial character stereotype for Black women. And so we stand with our Black and brown communities, and we can see that our packaging may be interpreted in a way that is wholly inconsistent with our values, right? So that's what one of these, larger groups said.
Yeah,
right?
some press person.
Some liberal group. But have they watched Lizzo or Sexy Red or anything on 500,000 videos on TikTok or YouTube?
Right? No, obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, you're a large curvy woman, but they celebrate it,
Right?
and that's what makes money. But the Butterworth
Right.
bottle of syrup is bad.
Yeah. Dude, that's the thing, man. There's so much contradiction in these what we call quote unquote stereotypes or again, like, so for example, there's too many skinny women and like modeling.
Yeah, and swimsuit.
So now they have like just normal chicks, which I think is great, by the way. But now it's, you can't have too curvy of women in there because that could be seen as something that's stereotypical to this group. Like, again, man, where does it stop?
It doesn't. It's
like,
stop.
dude, suck it up.
It doesn't stop, right? So
it's silly.
If y'all, for those of you watching or listening, if you want to really laugh at this ridiculous, outrageous concept of having to change names because it's offensive to it's offensive to a Chihuahua who lives in El Paso.
Right.
I only say that because it's the El Paso Chihuahuas, a AAA club. But anyway.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So there's a website called OnGig, ONGIG. Right.
Okay. I don't know about this. I'm nervous right now.
No. It's a website that is like dedicated to making sure political correctness and naming happens in brands and sports teams, etc. And it chronicles all of their victories.
How many times do you accidentally click on OnlyFans when you're trying to get to this website?
Do that. Anyway. So it I can't even look at you. Such a dick. Anyway, so it lists all their victories, like the Redskins to the Commanders was a victory, right? Indians to Guardians was a victory, right? We're still pressuring the Braves and the Blackhawks. Here, I want to read this. This is from the website, right? CEO Rob Kelly of OnGig, not OnlyFans, OnGig. I'm sure he has an OnlyFans account though, because his hypocrisy.
He's a subscriber.
His hypocrisy knows no bounds. Rob Kelly observed that many companies might also need to change their corporate brand name due to masculine bias. In a blog that he wrote last year, will masculine companies need to change their name? Right? Manpower Group. Ooh, $22 billion staffing company.
Offends me as a man.
5 guys. Nope. 2 Men in a Truck, the moving company.
Yeah. Right? Really?
Right?
Who is this guy?
Pizza Guys. It's a pizza chain.
Pizza
apparently.
guy. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of pretty apparent.
Yeah. The Good Guys, the discount warehouse.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Termite Guy, which is a pest control service. You can't be the guy anymore.
Nope.
You can't be 5 guys, right? So they said that mottos. This guy said that mottos might need to change too, and he said, "Listen to this: the Departments of Veterans Affairs motto has been accused of being exclusionary and outdated. It's a motto that quotes President Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address in 1865, and it said, 'To care for him who shall have been born who have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan.'"
So they don't like it because it's exclusionary of women. I mean,
come on. It's the spirit of the quote and the spirit of the motto.
Yes.
It's not the technical language.
People's like just inherent ability to take these things for such a literal.
Yes.
Yes. It's like it's not. Some of these things are not meant to be so literal as they are just meant to make a point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like, why do we have to just turn it into this literal, I don't know, man. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So here, let's go. So all of you people that subscribe to OnGig or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Right. Or all of you people that advocate for taking down statues of Washington and Jefferson and Ulysses S. Grant, who won the war for the Union, right? Because they have links or ties, right? To all the people who want to remove his or her or it or tree or furry or whatever the fuck, right?
Right.
To all the people that want to cancel all this stuff out, to all the people that want to remove, right, names and naming conventions and naming rights and doing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I got an idea. How about this with your fucking hero Clinton? Okay. Hold on, Mike. So So the Epstein list was released this week.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And Bill Clinton was on it. We all knew that.
Yeah.
We all knew that.
Yep.
Everybody knew it. Everybody knew it. In 2019, his spokesperson came out and said, yeah, Bill Clinton was friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
And he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane many times. Didn't say where they were going. And by the way, Bill Clinton was never on a manifest. But we'll leave that apart for now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Right? So I got an idea. Let's strip him of his presidency. Let's say that he never served. Let's black out. Let's redact his name from the list of presidents. Let's take his name off the Little Rock Airport. Let's blow up. Let's dynamite his fucking presidential library in Little Rock.
Yeah.
Because he has a link to Jeffrey Epstein, who is a known sex offender.
Right.
So let's do that, you fucking hypocrites. Right? Let's do that.
That's right.
Right? Okay, I'm going to get off.
No, I like the soapbox. I enjoyed that. I was enthralled.
But let's do that.
Yeah.
Right. If you really believe in your convictions and what you stand for, and the offensiveness that is Thomas Jefferson because he had a link to slavery, and so you want to tear his statue down, you want to dynamite the Jefferson Memorial in Washington D.C.
Right.
The writer of the Constitution, you really want to do that because he had a link to slavery. Well, then you eliminate every Clinton piece of DNA on this earth. You dynamite his presidential library. You redact his name from the presidential list. You take him out of the history book.
Yeah. My thing is, man, people yelling and screaming about the Redskins going to the Commanders. Have they spent time to try to be a positive influence on making sure that Native American history is being taught?
No.
Are they actually doing something positive for that group of people in exchange for this whining and complaining?
No, why would
the
you?
whining and complaining is to me is tolerable if there's action that's related to something positive that's tied to it.
Yeah.
But when the complaining is just complaining to complain,
yes, that's all it is.
Now I have a problem.
Well, but it's also
right? it's I don't get it.
And I, so I don't think it's just complaining for the sake of complaining. I think it's complaining because they feel like that's the best thing that they can do to make themselves feel better.
I think it's complaining for attention.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, right? Look at me.
I don't disagree. Yep.
All right, cool. Well, listen, man, let's punt on this thing. Or what do you have left here? You got anything else on this topic? I think we're getting close on time.
We should start a petition. Yeah. Because Jeffrey Epstein was a known sex offender, right? And child sex trafficker, right?
Yeah.
So we know that.
Yeah.
He was guilty, right? Like we know this, right? Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton has a link to him, a tie.
Yep.
So we need to remove Bill. Let's start a petition to remove Bill Clinton from every piece of history ever.
The bad thing is Bill Clinton was a decent president.
He was. The economy was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Him and Newt Gingrich got shit done. But he has it. So, and Washington found.
I'm not saying he's a good human being. I'm not saying he's a good human being.
No, I'm not saying that either. But Washington was the father of the country, and Thomas Jefferson wrote the Constitution. But you can eliminate them, right? You can eliminate their statues.
Right.
But we can't eliminate
Bill Clinton did a lot less for this country than those guys did.
Goddamn right.
So,
right. But he still did
a great point.
Still did a decent job. So let's do that. Let's see how far the hypocrites will go with this. Because it's not. It's not just it's them wanting to hear them, make themselves feel better, but it also fits a certain agenda.
Absolutely.
That placates an entire population of people for their own for the benefit of the person doing it.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Well, it's a good discussion, man. It's interesting. That's an interesting topic to me. I think we're going to see more and more of this stuff. It's going to continue because now the lid's off and people are just going ham with this whole situation.
It's a free fall.
Yeah. So anyway, be prepared. It's going to continue. I say we start the petition. We'll see if we can get some people fired up about this situation with Bill Clinton and the Jeffrey Epstein list.
When we post this, we'll have to put a comment. Who will sign the petition? We'll see how many.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Share. All right. Why Not Us is our name. Check us out on Spotify with all capital letters. Why Not Us or whynotuspod.org.
Yep.
Thanks to Why Not Results.
Why Not Results.
And Jimmy Talbot. He's the guy helping us get the production done here on the pod.
And thank you all for listening. We appreciate the continued support.
Absolutely.
And the bearing with my rants from time to time.
Yes, I loved it. Today was a good one for you. So, and I apologize for my very distasteful jokes, but
don't sue us.
We'll be back. There's nothing to sue. That's the best part. We don't have anything. All right, cool. We'll do this again. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Boom. Take it easy.
Yep.